Have you ever felt like you're constantly stuck in your head? Like you're carrying around so many thoughts, worries, and ideas, it's almost impossible to focus on the present moment? You know, believe me, I've been there. Sometimes there's this nonstop storm of thoughts swirling in my mind, pulling me in every direction. And honestly, it can feel exhausting. In a world where we are constantly plugged in, bombarded with information and endless notifications and those never-ending to-do lists, it's no wonder our mind feels cluttered. But if you're anything like me, you probably know deep down that something's gotta give. You can't keep living like this, constantly overwhelmed and unable to make clear, confident decisions. You know, enter in what I like to call mental minimalism. It's the idea of treating your mind like home. You know, regularly decluttering, organizing, and making space for, what truly matters. It's about freeing yourself from overthinking and unnecessary noise so you can focus on what brings real meaning and joy into your life. Learning to do this, it's been a game changer for me. And if you're tired of feeling stuck in your own head, I think I can be helpful for you. So let's go through this journey together step by step. We'll talk about how to clear out that mental clutter, make space for clarity, and actually start living. I'll even share how I'm using my tools like Blakebill that help me streamline my work so I don't have to be wasting time on mental energy and unnecessary details. So if you're ready to start, let's dive right into this. The cost of mental clutter, how we get stuck in our own heads. Let's start by talking about this mental clutter, what it is and why it's such a huge problem for many of us. Mental clutter is kind of like having 1,000 tabs open on your computer. Each one's a thought, worry, decision, waiting for your attention, slowing everything down and making it nearly impossible to focus on the task at hand. I used to be the person who overthought everything. Even the smallest decisions would leave me paralyzed. I'd replay conversations in my head, wondering if I had said the wrong thing, or if I'd obsess over the smallest details of a project, trying to make sure every single piece was just right. But here's the thing, the constant mental chatter was keeping me from actually moving forward. The truth is, mental clutter isn't just a mere annoyance. It has real consequences. When you're stuck in your own head, second guessing every decision or ruminating on the past, you're not really living, you're not really present, you're not taking action, and you're not growing. The more you overthink, the less you actually do. And that's a recipe for staying stuck in exactly where you are. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the thoughts spinning around in your mind, recognize that this mental clutter is costing you. It's keeping you from being present, draining your energy, and holding you back from taking action on things that actually matter. Letting go of perfectionism, progress over perfection. One of the biggest contributors to mental clutter, at least for me, has been this relentless need for things to be perfect. I can't even tell you how many times I've held myself back from finishing or even starting a project because I was waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. But here's the hard truth I had to learn, that perfect is an illusion. If you're always waiting for things to be just right, you're never going to get anything done. Letting go of perfectionism was tough for me, but once I started to embrace the idea that done is better than perfect, things changed. I stopped obsessing over the tiny details, stopped trying to make every single piece of work flawless, and started valuing progress over perfection. Think about it this way. Imagine you're writing a book. If you obsess over every word, every sentence, you're going to spend years on it and never actually finish. But if you accept that this is your first draft, doesn't have to be flawless, that you can revise and improve along the way, you're more likely to keep going. You'll finish that first draft, and then the second, and then before you know it, you've written a whole book. If you find yourself paralyzed by the need for perfection, try reminding yourself that life isn't about doing things perfectly. It's about doing them, period. Let go of that need to make everything flawless and focus on making progress instead. Over time, you'll find that taking action, even imperfectly, feels a lot more fulfilling than endless waiting. Simplify your choices. Decisiveness is a skill. Have you ever felt exhausted by making decisions? The phenomenon is called decision fatigue, and it's a real issue. The more choices you have to make in a day, the more mentally drained you become. When you're constantly agonizing over even the simplest decisions, you're using up valuable mental energy that could be better spent elsewhere. I used to struggle with the decision fatigue all the time. I'd spend ages choosing what to wear, what to eat, and even what to work on first in the morning. It sounds small, but those endless micro decisions were adding up, leaving me feeling drained before I'd even tackled anything significant. So I made the change. I decided to simplify my choices as much as possible. For instance, I created a morning routine that I'd stick to every day so I don't have to decide what to do first in the morning. I also plan out my week on Sunday nights so I don't waste mental energy each day figuring out my schedule. And for bigger decisions, I started practicing a new approach. I make the decision, I trust my gut, and I move forward without looking back. Simplifying your choices is one of the most freeing things you can do for your mind. Pick one area in your life where you tend to overthink and see if you can streamline your options. The mental space you'll gain from the small change is incredible, and it'll free you up to focus on things that actually really matter. Be mindful of what you feed your mind. Just like we're mindful of what we feed our bodies, we need to be aware of what we feed our minds. Think of all the information we consume every day: social media, news, endless scrolling. Most of it's mental junk food, and it's no wonder we end up feeling overwhelmed and scatterbrained. There was a time I'd spend hours consuming information. I'd scroll through social media, read random articles, watch whatever was trending. I thought I was staying informed, but honestly, I just felt mentally overloaded. It was like filling my brain with random facts and opinions that weren't helping me move forward. So I made a change. I decided to be intentional about what I was feeding my mind. I limited my time on social media, I focused on content that aligned with my goals, and I made room for things that genuinely inspired me. Instead of filling up my head with random information, I chose to consume content that uplifted me or taught me something valuable. Take a look at what you're feeding your mind. Are you consuming things that energize you, that give you clarity, or that actually help you move towards your goals? Or are you just filling space? The more intentional you are about what you let in, the more mental clarity you'll have to focus on things that actually matter. Break big goals into small, actionable steps. Another big obstacle in mental clarity: overwhelming goals. When you're staring down a huge project or a massive goal, it's easy to feel paralyzed. It's like looking at a mountain you need to climb and the summit seems impossibly far away. But here's a little secret. Big goals are achieved by taking small, consistent steps. When I first started building Blakebill, I had felt overwhelmed by all the things I needed to do. There was so much to tackle that I didn't even know where to begin. But then I realized that I didn't need to do everything at once. I just needed to focus on one step at a time. I started breaking down my goals into bite-sized tasks instead of trying to conquer everything. I'd set small, manageable goals for each day. It could be as simple as reaching out to one client, writing one page, or researching one topic. Those little steps started to add up, and before I knew it, I was making real progress. If you're feeling overwhelmed by a big goal, try breaking it down into smaller pieces. Focus on what you can do today, and then trust those small actions that will lead to big results over time. Trust yourself. Confidence comes from taking action. One of the hardest parts of overthinking is that it makes us doubt ourselves. We get stuck in our heads wondering if we're good enough, if we're making the right choice, if we're even capable. But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come from overthinking or analyzing every possible outcome. Confidence comes from doing. Every time I felt unsure or unprepared, I reminded myself that the only way to build confidence is to take action even when I don't feel ready. Every step I take, even if it's small, is a step towards building that confidence. Think of confidence like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the only way to build this is to keep moving forward, even if it's not perfect, even if you're not 100% sure. Trust yourself enough to take that first step and know that each action will make you stronger. Streamline your work with systems that support you. Let's talk about something that's been a game changer for me. Setting up systems and streamlining my work. For the longest time, I was wasting so much time and energy on the little things, emails, file transfers, and waiting on client payments, and I didn't realize how much mental energy those tasks were actually eating up until I made the change. And you see, that's why I started Blakebill, which has completely simplified my client interactions. So in Blakebill, I transfer my files and I can get paid immediately without all the back and forth emails or waiting around for them to pay. It's taken a huge weight off my shoulders, allowing me to focus on actual work rather than logistics. Knowing I have a smooth, efficient system in place means I can show up fully for my clients without worrying about the little things. If you're looking to free up mental space, I highly recommend taking a look at your workflow. Find areas where you can simplify, automate, and invest in systems that make your life easier. You'll be amazed at how much mental clarity you'll actually gain when you don't have to worry about the small stuff. Let go of the need to control everything. One of the biggest sources of mental clutter out there is the need to control everything. I'll be the first to admit that I used to be a control freak. I wanted certain guarantees and I wanted a clear path forward. But the reality is life doesn't work that way. And the more we try to control every little detail, the more anxious and overwhelmed we become. Learning to let go of control was really hard for me, but it was also one of the most freeing things I've done. I had to accept that there were going to be things I couldn't predict, things I couldn't plan for. But once I let go of that need to control, I felt a sense of peace. I could focus on what I could control, my actions, my mindset, and my responses to whatever came my way. If you're feeling overwhelmed, try letting go of the need to control everything. Trust that you're capable of handling whatever comes, even if you don't have all the answers right now. Life is unpredictable, and you know what? That's okay. Sometimes the best things that you can do is surrender and let things unfold as they're meant to. Practice presence, living in the here and now. In a world that's constantly pulling our attention in a million directions, practicing presence is one of the most valuable skills that we can cultivate. When you're truly present, that noise fades, the doubts quiet down, and then you're able to connect deeply with the moments right in front of you. For me, presence has been such a total game changer. I used to spend so much time in my head worrying about the future, replaying the past, or thinking about what I should be doing. But by learning to be present, I found a sense of peace and clarity that I didn't actually know was possible. Being present present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or goals. It simply means giving your full attention to the moment. Whether you're working on a project, having a conversation, or even just sitting quietly, just being there. Presence brings a richness to life that's hard to put into words, and it makes everything feel fuller and more meaningful. Clearing the mental clutter one step at a time. Mental minimalism isn't about achieving a perfectly clear mind. It's about making space for what truly matters. It's about taking back control of your mental environment, letting go of the noise, and focusing on what brings joy and meaning to your life. I kind of hope these things inspire you to start your own journey towards this mental minimalism. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Start with one small change, be gentle with yourself, and make space for things that light you up. Here's to clearing chaos, finding clarity, and living a life that feels lighter, simpler, and more intentional.